My name is Julia and I'm with marketing team, and today I'll be moderating this webinar and making sure Josh doesn't reveal too much. So, we're having an industry focused webinar today discussing all things about cold email outreach in the financial industry. Josh, your microphone, let's get started.
Yeah, thanks, Julia. So I guess we'll give a couple more minutes to the rest of our guests that are still joining in right now. But in the meantime, wanted to give you a little bit more information about me and who I am. So as mentioned, my name is Josh Pratt, and I've actually been in sales for a little bit more than 4 years now. And when I joined Balkans, I actually started as an account manager. It was great because I was able to kind of dive in and see all the work processes, see how everything works, kind of evaluate all the different moving parts. But overall, it was great for the time. And now I'm working in marketing. I do a lot of different content. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but wanted to just kind of start off with a little intro about me. And I guess we can go ahead and get started. And yeah, perfect. So, wanted to start with a little bit more information about us. Why can we talk about financial services and outreach in the financial services industry? Honestly, we've been working in B2B for over 5 years, and we've worked with over 1,000 happy clients. We actually scheduled over 200,000 appointments, and we are the number one company on Clutch for lead generation. So I will go as far as to say that we are the industry leader in lead generation overall. But we also do a lot of different things. We do podcasts, webinars, we have YouTube content as well. So essentially, after doing a detailed analysis of all of our clients, the financial industry was in our top three most successful industries that we've worked with. And the average KPI hit is 142% of what was agreed to in our contract. So we figured it would be great to just run this quick webinar and talk about some best practices, some things not to do when doing outreach in the financial services industry. So overall, I just wanted to kind of throw some interesting numbers out here. Financial services alone, we've had over 20 satisfied clients. We've been able to get 35 appointments in 3 months for a number of those clients. And our minimal average monthly deal brought in is about 7. So, yeah, before I get on to the next slide, wanted to start off by just talking about some more general challenges that our clients of ours have faced, specifically in the financial services industry. And then a little bit later, I'll dig in a little bit deeper into a specific client case that we have. So pain points, not understanding how to overcome pain points. This is something that we've heard very often, and it's something that we like to hear because it's something that we can overachieve and overcome. We know all of our pain points of all of our clients, and we understand from before starting any kind of outreach, these are the things that we need to focus on overcoming. Case studies, not having case studies, that's also a challenge that a lot of our clients have come to us with, saying, we've gotten the interested prospects, but we don't know how to convert them into actual meetings. Case studies work really well. We'll talk about that as well a little bit later. But then also not knowing who to reach out to. It's, when you're coming up with an ICP, you need to understand very well that who your target group is. So even just, Googling job responsibilities to understand, okay, am I reaching the right point of contact? Is this person really going to be responsible for what I'm trying to offer? And then the last one is spam. Spam is a very big issue. It's something that's overlooked very often. So we'll talk about that as well. We're going to be talking about quite a few different things. But before we move on, I wanted to actually start a poll. You should be able to see it on your screen. It will be popping up here now. And so while we're doing this poll, just go ahead and leave whatever your thoughts are, and whatever your pain points are. Uh, Honestly, it's really vital for us to try and achieve something that it's preventing you from growing. Pain points are doing that essentially. They're not allowing you to see the growth that you want to see. And so we understand that if we just try and avoid them, it's not going to give us the most successful end result. So, yeah, we'll give another maybe 30 seconds for all of our guests to leave their answers in the poll. But just, yeah, a few quick comments on what I'm seeing so far. Looks like email deliverability is a big issue from the votes that I've seen right now. So a few quick comments on email deliverability. Bounce checks. If you don't know what they are, I recommend investing your time into doing bounce checks. Basically, you need to make sure that your emails are working and that they're valid emails, and you're sending emails that will actually land in prospects' inboxes instead of just not actually going anywhere because the email is not valid. Understanding how to avoid spam is also very important when you're talking about email deliverability, because obviously if you're sending out an email that has 20 different spam triggers, your email is going to get flagged and it's not going to get to anybody's inbox overall. And then also knowing how to properly set up your mailbox, and then knowing the limits that you can send out per day is very influential. And if you do it successfully, you're sending out not just from the very beginning 1,000 different emails from one mailbox, but you're slowly rising how many emails you can send per day so that you can assure your domain and mailbox health is stable. So, all right. Well, I guess we'll go ahead and stop the poll. So thank you for leaving your thoughts and your answers. I guess we'll go ahead and move on. So our next slide, we are going to be talking about specific challenges that we had with a client of ours. They came to us and said, we've got leads, but we don't know how to utilize them. Also, just are these the correct email addresses? Goes back to the same thing, bounce check. Are you checking your emails to make sure that they're not coming back as bounces? And there's different ways you can do that. We have, even we have different software that helps with that. So yeah, it's very important before you start sending out emails, you understand that the emails are working well. So this was a challenge that we overcame right away, because all of the leads that we have and all the leads that we use, we always check before sending out any kind of emails to make sure that the emails are actually working. Another challenge that they had was they were very focused on just US based financial companies. Um, as you might have seen for yourself, the US financial service market is not very innovative. So when it comes to technology, they're not, always as open to be evolving. And that's something that we brought to our client and said, hey, we can do this. We can reach out to the United States financial companies, but what about Europe? What about different countries? And it just opened a door for them. And after we brought that to them and they said, yes, let's try it, their success level just shot through the roof, because the different financial institutions and the different financial companies all around the world, specifically not in America, they're very open and they're very interested in something that's evolving and something that's considered new. And so they actually were very satisfied, and they told us, once we branched out and started reaching out to not just US companies, our success level just went so high. It was just great. So also one of the challenges that our client faced before they worked with us was that they had so much stuff to do that they couldn't properly prepare as much as they'd like for their demo meetings that they had. And because we take everything off of their shoulders, and we take everything off of every client's shoulders, all they have to do is hop on the meetings. And so it gave them more time to invest in prep work for the call, and then also in the post sales process. So we were able to actually shorten their sales cycle, which was really great to see, because we want to understand that we're not just providing meetings, we're providing an opportunity for our clients to have more available time to devote to different sides of things or different work processes. So yeah. And then next slide, wanted to hop over real quick. So best practices for reaching out in the finance industry. So understanding what the offering is and how to deliver. If you don't 100% know who your offering applies to and how it works, you're not going to come off as a very confident salesperson. And you don't want that, obviously. You want to make sure that when you're reaching out to any kind of lead, they understand that you're very, very confident, and you know exactly why this is influential for them and why they need to hop on a call with you. So understanding your offering very well, like the back of your hand, is very important. Understanding what industry and what titles you're going after, also very important. You can try and just reach out to everybody, but the more specific you get in the very beginning, the better. You'll see better results. You'll understand that we're actually reaching out to prospects that are really a good fit. Play to your strength. Case studies. If you don't have case studies, I recommend get them, start making them, because they really are effective, especially if you have a prospect that seems like they're interested, but they're just not willing to hop on a call yet. Bam, here you go, case study. Just give one case study to them, let them see actual facts, and then watch them convert. Consider your competitors' impact. It's very effective if you understand that this competitor doesn't do A, B, and C, but you do. You can even use that in your templates. You're considering how your competitors are affecting companies that you're trying to reach out to, and how they're not affecting them. And then you play up on that point and you say, hey, I understand that you've maybe worked with some kind of company like ours in the past. Here's why we are different, and here's why we're more successful. Utilizing timelines. Overall, what we've seen since working with the financial industry, a lot of finance titles are very number oriented, whether it's data, statistics, or time. You can even say, for example, I would like to hop on a call and it'll only take 26 minutes of your time. Throwing in some kind of personalized specific number, it's very good. But even, for example, if you're reaching out to somebody, we'll say in June, preparing a set of templates that says in June we'll be doing so and so for free, or we'll be doing a free trial, or we'll be doing something that will bring them in, but you're focusing specifically on 1 month so that there's a need, a feel of urgency to the email itself. You can also A/B test how it works versus numbers and statistics. So obviously the first one is you're talking about how your offering works, how it will be effective. And then the other one is, these are the numbers, these are the statistics that we've pulled from our successful, projects, from our successful collaborations. And then two different approaches that we've seen that have worked really well are referral and user interview. Referral is quite simple. Basically, what you're focusing on is you pull information to send out an email to someone, say, John Doe, and you say, hey, I'm reaching out to talk about ABC offering. Would I be right in reaching out to you, or should I reach out to Jane Doe instead? You're giving a personalization effect that helps them see, okay, they know somebody that I work with. This is already interesting. And if you throw that in the subject line, it just, they're right away. They're like, how do they know this person? How do they know me? It really helps. And then user interview, it's an approach not as common or as popular, because essentially what you're doing is, instead of trying to go out and just say, this is my sales call, this is my cold call, you're saying, hey, this is my product, this is my offering, would you take the time to just look at it and give me your thoughts? And in the meantime, while you're doing that, not only are they being exposed to what your offering is, but they're also seeing if that would be a good fit for them, which has a higher chance of them feeling more comfortable with you, because you're not just pushing them from the very beginning. You're not just trying to sell them right off the bat. You're actually giving them information and saying, here's what we can do, this is what we've done, this is what we've made. And they can see firsthand, okay, this is actually something that would work for me. And they let you know, they say, this is great, I love it, just curious, can we potentially work together? And that's happened multiple times as well. This is one of my actual favorite approaches. So yeah, in general, both of those templates are effective, those approaches. I did want to run another poll here. So we'll go ahead and give another minute for this poll. And yeah, just leave your thought, and we'll talk about that. But in the meantime, I actually did want to share a success story about a client of mine that I worked with a little while ago. We had a customer come in, and they were struggling to get new clients and new meetings, essentially. They gave us a very detailed ICP, and we tested it for about a month. But after testing it, we saw that there could be some tweaks, maybe some additional industries that we could add that would be a good fit for them. And once we did this, we were seeing a higher meeting rate come in. So originally, when we first started, it was obviously the launch period when you're still getting everything warmed up, but it was more effective once we added additional industries, because we understood, this offering works for a lot of different industries that we're not actually tapping into. And this was all thanks to our professional team of hard, devoted workers that understand and have been doing this for years, that they understand, okay, this is an exact fit, but we're not reaching out to them. Why not? And once we did, we started seeing, 6-7 month meetings a month coming in stably. So it is important to be flexible, but then it's also important to understand what your decision makers are. So from the poll results, I'd have to say that understanding and getting to big decision makers is it is extremely important, but it's not always easy, especially if you're reaching out to, say, like a Fortune 500 company CFO. They're most likely not going to be quick to respond, if they respond at all. But if you understand that no matter what your offering is, the responsibilities and the perfect fit, you have to kind of play around to understand what is actually going to be the perfect fit. Who is the exact job title that I can be reaching out to that would be more in a place of, I have time to take this, call, as opposed to a CFO from a company with 8,000 employees. So finding your decision makers, but not only by, Googling the different job responsibilities specifically in this industry, in this title, but understanding that, sometimes even in the same industry, two different companies, the job responsibilities are different. So using that referral approach really is effective, and it really helps you to get to your decision makers, because it's basically asking for an introduction to the most appropriate person for what you're trying to talk about. So yeah, thank you for your votes in the poll. I would say that really depends on your offering. So yeah, it could be the finance director, it could be the controller, it could be the CFO. But just as a rule of thumb, remember, the higher up you go with employee count, the harder it is going to be to get to a higher seniority point of contact. So next, wanted to talk with you about what not to do when reaching out in the financial industry. Face-to-face approach isn't as effective as it has been in different industries from what we've seen, specifically because a lot of times the offering or the product or the platform that we have from a client of ours, it's almost impossible to meet up and sit for an hour over a cup of coffee and give all of the really good details. It's been a lot more effective to try one of the other approaches that we mentioned earlier, because you're not in this like rush of, okay, I've only got an hour, I'm sitting down for coffee. Plus there's all the technical sides, and you can open up your computer and talk about that. But if you want to have a good meeting, obviously you want to have a balance of showing and then discussing, which face-to-face approach hasn't always worked for us, and that's just something that we've seen to be not as effective as, say, referral or user interview. Gift card approach, most titles and financial services are very busy, very busy, and so they are very appreciative of their time, and they respect their time a lot more than, say, other titles could be, specifically if it's in a very large company and so many people devoted to so many different things. Sending a $10 gift card on Starbucks to the CFO could look a little beggy, and you don't want that. You want confidence. You don't want to come off as like, please hop on my call, or please just give me 10 minutes of your time and I'll give you $10. It's just not a good approach, because financials titles don't always bite. They don't always say, you know what, I'd love a $10 gift card. So maybe if you're sending like a $500 Apple gift card, sure, that might work. But usually if it's something small, I would still, once again, redirect my focus more towards a referral or user interview. Um, so overall, the next thing would be spam words. In case you didn't know, credit cards, discounts, free, dollar sign, guaranteed, offer, all of these are spam words. And these are something that we've seen so often, and it's just logical that they somehow end up in the templates. But if there's a way to get around these kinds of words, that's very important. And once again, there are different ways that you can track and see, what are your spam words, what are your spam triggers, and how much can you actually include without jeopardizing how effective your email will actually be. Because sometimes you do have to use like a dollar sign, or for, say, like free. Sometimes you have to, and there's no way around it. But trying to avoid as much spam words as possible, yeah, just do it. I guarantee it'll help. And then focusing only on LinkedIn. Yeah, LinkedIn has not been effective from our experience in the financial services industry specifically, just because most people on LinkedIn are either there to post about maybe their new successes or something new and that's going on with them, and specifically in the financial services industry. They're not always as open to connecting to hear another sales pitch. So what we've seen from our experience is that just going with the normal email route is the most effective way possible. So yeah, and then overall, just trying to be more personalized. And we'll talk about this in an actual template example, but trying to be more personalized is very important when sending out any kind of email. The more numbers, the more statistics, the more personalization you have, it'll work a lot better. So moving on, how we're able to bring our client in the financial industry a stable 64% open rate and 8% reply rate. So wanted to kind of just give you a little bit more information on how we have worked with this specific client of ours, or other clients in the past that are also in the financial industry. So working smart and not hard. I would just say right off the bat, how do we do this? We do this by not putting all of the weight of everything in an outreach campaign on one person's shoulders. We have a large team devoted to specific aspects of the outreach campaign. So we have an account manager who oversees everything. We have an SDR team who works with all the responses, works with all the reports, works with all of the follow-ups and actually scheduling them, scheduling the appointments. We have copywriters that do the writing, they write the templates, they edit the templates. We have research team. They specifically specialize in making sure that we're reaching out to the right people, to your ICP, and that the emails are actually valid. And then we have email deliverability specialists who just oversee how the domain looks, how the mailbox's health is, and if there's things that need to be stopped or slowed down, or they know the limits. So we're working smart in the sense that we're not just telling one person do everything, work as much as you can and get results. We're working with a devoted team, each person specifically focusing on one aspect of the outreach, so that we don't have that burden on one person just not being able to cope with everything. So prepare, plan, perfect, perform. This is something that we do with every single client. We prepare before our onboarding calls. We plan what we're going to offer. We listen to what our clients say they'd like to try. We have options of what we would like to try. We perfect. We see what works, what's not working. We find what works the best out of everything, and then we just perform. So it's essentially set up, making sure that things are working, finding what works best, which subject line, which template, and then you just go for it and you understand this working. So no changes needed. Studying each aspect of the campaign before launching. So when we get a new client, we study the ICP who we're reaching out to. We study the value proposition. We understand what they're offering is completely. We understand their brand as well, because whether it's the beginning or in the middle of a year-long contract, there's different options of different things that you can offer, but you still need to make sure that the brand is coming off the same through all your different templates. And then the sales cycle, we try and not only just schedule the meetings, but we do want to ask our clients to be open with us about how long their sales cycle is, what can we expect for them for their ROI. And I really want to strongly point out that there are literally no challenges that we can't help with here at Belkins. And I wanted to share a few examples of concerns we've had and how we overcame and achieved them to ensure happy customers. So one client of ours came to us worrying about a successful campaign due to their lack in marketing experience. The question that they asked was, how can we be sure that you're doing everything right? Well, first things first, the meetings are the first sign that we're doing something right. But not only do we set up the meetings, we follow up on the meetings. We ask our clients, how are your meetings going? Are you feeling like these are a good fit for you? Are you feeling like there's something that we should be doing differently? Maybe you hop on the call and it just doesn't seem like it's the right decision maker. We ask as much information from our clients as possible so that we understand that, we're doing our side of things, but not just giving the meetings and not worrying about how the end result looks. We're using our years of experience and asking for an open collaboration so that we can be more and more successful and more effective in the outreach going. Another client mentioned the need to combine specific and formal industry language, but they still wanted to stand out in a crowd. And that's not a worry at all. We've got a large team of devoted professionals who focus on one specific aspect. That's our copywriter. So they have, a large team of copywriters that work together and help each other out and, come up with different ideas and different strategies, but they obviously know what works best for each industry. So what specifically works for financial, referral, user interview. So we also do have multiple case studies with clients in the financial industry on our website. So be sure to go and check them out after our webinar today. But I wanted to run one more poll. And the topic is going to be about sequences. So you should see that poll on your screen now. And yeah, while we're waiting, wanted to kind of just break down our overall process and shed some light on how we've been able to become the industry leader. It's our team. It's because I don't want to sound cliche or anything, but our team is not only big, but it consists of, as I mentioned already, specific professionals devoting themselves to one aspect of the campaign. We're very strict before we have anyone join our company. There's a very strict screening process to make sure that we're hiring the top professionals. We thrive because we carefully invest in each candidate that wants to join our company, because we understand that there's a lot of moving parts and every single person needs to be in such a good cadence with each other. So in general, when you run a campaign with us, we have between 8 and 10 people working on each project. So as I mentioned, you get a research team, copywriter, you get an SDR team, email deliverability team, and an account manager. Each person has got one thing that they focus on, and they perfect that. So overall, thank you so much for your answers on the poll. I would say that between 4 and 5 emails is great for any kind of sequence. You don't want to send out too many emails and then risk getting marked as spam. But at the same time, you don't want to just send out 1 or 2 emails. Something that I've seen personally happen, because I've had somebody reach out to me later once they found my email, was they were very interested off the get-go, but once they lost my email because I only sent 1 or 2, it took them a long time to find their email from me and say, hey, I was actually interested a month ago, but I just lost your email and all of my craziness, which we all probably know. So it's giving that persistency with 3 to 4 to 5 emails. It lets you understand, okay, if someone's not interested, he'll definitely just not respond. But if someone is interested, maybe the timing isn't correct right now, and maybe they'll respond to my 4th or 5th. I've had multiple people actually even thank me for my persistence. They've said, I'm sorry I didn't respond earlier, just didn't have the time. So yeah, thanks for your persistence. All right. So then last thing I wanted to do with you today was kind of just look at an actual template and break it down and talk about why this is a successful template. I would say that one of the most important things is keeping your email precise and short. You don't want to have a very long body. You don't want to have the email very, very, very long. Otherwise, no one's going to read email that takes 10 minutes to read. Subject lines with data. You can actually see this right here. The subject line B says 39% processing fees reduction for company. So actually using statistics or numbers in subject line and also in the body, it's very effective. And this is something that we've seen specifically in the financial industry to be very effective, because once again, financial titles are very interested in numbers and statistics. Once again, I mentioned as well specific number of words, using like 26 minutes of your time, or can I just ask for 19 minutes of your time and I'll show you why our offering is gonna help you with XYZ, as we've done with this company, this company, and this company, which you can see in the second paragraph towards the end, where there's clients. That's what our clients like. Client, and client appreciate the most. So using actual client names is also important. It can really help. Using variables and industry specific data, that's also very effective. If you see here, referral name is in the subject line A, and then also in the second paragraph of the template itself. So using any kind of personalization variables will really help to ensure that your templates and your approach is working, because you're not just sending out a very broad, very general email to everybody at once. Another hint is actually using the pain points that you understand your point of contact might feel. So you could personalize a specific template to talk about the pain points that maybe a CFO would have, or maybe the director of finance would have, or anybody else in finance. So there's different pain points that talk specifically to different titles. So using that as well in your templates will really help. Bullet points also can be effective. It really depends on the industry. I've seen some specific companies in financial services that were they liked the bullet points. They came back to us and said, I appreciate it that it's very easy. It's either A, B, C, or D. And I just had to write one letter. And that's why I responded. And that's why I hopped on the call, because you made it easy for me to respond without taking a lot of my time, which I don't have. So using bullet points can really be helpful. And yeah, this is one of the successful templates that we use with this client to get a 65% open rate. So yeah, Q&A, we have some time for question and answers. Julia is still here on the call, and she will actually be working on the questions that we've got in the chat. So by all means, please feel free to drop any kind of questions you have. We did actually send out a survey and ask for different specific questions for us, and I'm just going to go ahead and go through those real quick. So first question is, it seems that Belkins has an international team. Are you familiar with the U.S. financial system and tax law? Yeah, Belkins has deep knowledge and specifically in the financial industry and in the U.S. financial regulations, we understand everything how it works. So our account managers, we have a lot of experience. We understand what we're allowed to do, what we're not allowed to do. So yeah, we no worries there. The next question: Do I need specific email marketing software? Yes and no. It depends on the amount of emails that you want to send out. So you can obviously send out emails through your Gmail or Outlook by hand, but this takes a lot of time. So if you're wanting to use something like maybe like HubSpot or Reply or Outreach, you can send out easily 500 emails from a mailbox through sequences, through templates. It seems to be a lot easier. So you can. It's up to you. Do you practice an account-based approach? We feel like spray and pray won't work for us. Overall, we are flexible and we try a lot of different things. And if that's something that you specifically would like to try, we can do that. We can make that happen. So yeah, we can try that. Why can't we use such words as cost, surcharge, payment, percentage, etc. in templates? Um, Spam. It's the quick, you know, result. It's the quick answer. Spam is going to prevent you from being successful. Your emails are not going to get into people's inboxes. They're just going to get to the spam folder, which a lot of people don't check even. So there's got to be some words that you can actually interchange, and there are a lot of ways to get around it. I've seen it myself personally that there are ways to get around free of charge, or I guarantee. There's different words that you can substitute so that you're not changing the meaning of your template itself, but you're still being effective and getting the point across without getting any kind of spam. So, and then also you want to make sure and warm up your templates before you're sending out emails. You want to make sure you have the correct DNS settings, and constantly email monitoring is important. If you're not checking how your mailboxes are working in general, you're not understanding if your next few days are going to be effective or not from the emails that you send out. So, and then the last question: what would be the top benefits of email marketing for the financial industry? Low cost, honestly. Email marketing is the most cost-effective communication channel. It does offer a higher ROI, and it keeps consistent communication. So emails are actually preferred communication for anyone in financial services. There's not anyone, not everyone, but most people are actually more responsive on email instead of like LinkedIn or different ways to get to reach them. And then you can also do a lot more personalization with emails as opposed to LinkedIn. There's variables, there's a lot of moving parts that you can include, a lot more personalization just in general that you can do with email marketing. So I did want to thank you all for taking the time to listen to this webinar. I hope it helped you. Once again, we've got a lot of case studies and we can answer any more questions you might have. So be sure to check out our website, check out our YouTube. If you want to talk with us in depth about running an email campaign for you, you can set up a free consultation by visiting our site. And yeah, thank you so much.